3, 2, 1. Okay, for all those that did not hear me, we are going to be starting from scratch. 12 minutes into the segment, but I promise that we'll go right through it and I'll try to repeat as much as I said before. Welcome to the PS I Love Me show with your host, Olmiga. This is Olmiga Enterprises, brought to you, and especially the LMC radio station and radio group, doing a lot of good things where loyalty means everything. So now that I'm a little bit more comfortable and a little bit more loose, then maybe the show will go a little bit more smoothly. One of the topics of conversation that I wanted to talk about is ambiguity. This word right here that I'm going to share with you on the screen, ambiguous, is to not be clear in text. It's not to be 100% about what you're saying, which leaves room for discussion. And we speak a lot about objectivity. Objectivity is more related to facts as opposed to subjectivity, which leaves room for discussion. And we will continue to talk about those things until these things get embedded in your head so that this can be second nature to you. This is something that you have to reflect on if you ever expect to be fair, conscious, aware, and understand the differences and how to distinguish between the different levels that you use. In other words, you're doing too much, you're not doing enough, and that is disposing and receiving energy and using enough motivation and when to be aware of when you don't have enough motivation. All these things are part of the podcast that you'll find on YouTube right here, which is Live Above the Norm, which has different chapters that talks about all these things. So let's get right into it. First of all, I want to welcome everyone who's joining us right now. I appreciate everyone who's here, who's going to be here, who's going to see these videos. We got a lot of things going on. I see you, Jessica. How you doing? It's been a long time. I see you, David. I see a lot of people joining in right now on the fun. This is recorded. So the video portion now I'm doing again for the people that were in the radio. There was what I told people before, this is a growth channel. And last week I found myself saying a lot of ahs and a lot of ums in between, which was a lot of indecisiveness. So this is a growing channel. So every time that I do something, I try to elevate, I try to practice, and I try to do it less. Now I have to look at the camera a little bit more and maybe just work a little bit more on my hand gestures. But this is live right now and it will be recorded. It's a good thing because I get to go back and reflect on some of the things that I did wrong. So that being said, let's get right into it. The word ambiguous, we'll bring it right back, is unclear or inexact because a choice between alternative has not been made, or open to more than one interpretation having a double meaning. A phrase that might have a double meaning, but we can also speak in ambiguous terms. And I'll give you one example of how to be clear or unclear and aware if you're being clear or not. So we'll start with a very simple sentence. The sentence goes as follows. I rode a black horse in red pajamas. What does that mean exactly? If you dissect this, and this is great for the overthinkers that are here, the ones that need an answer, that just cannot rest easy until the problem is solved or a goal has been reached in their thought process. I rode a black horse in red pajamas. Let's go after the facts. Let's go fact finding, because if you remember last week, we talked about, there goes the right there. See, I'm trying to catch myself doing these things too. We talked about being aware in making decisions or coming to conclusions without any facts, which leaves room for discussion. And this is what we call when we make assumptions. And assumptions can lead to anxiety. And then the other side of the assumptions can be expectations, which are both two types of assuming. So let's take that into consideration. Let's go fact finding here so that we can always speak about facts. I like to speak in facts. This is something I like to do. I like to talk facts. Conversations are better. They're more enlightening. They're more spiritual. They're more powerful. They're more positive. So paint this picture in your head. I rode a black horse in red pajamas. What are the facts? The facts are that there's a black horse in this situation. The other fact is that I'm riding this horse, me. There's another fact too, that there's red pajamas that are involved. But I want to ask you, who is wearing these pajamas? Is it the horse that's wearing the pajamas, or is it me that's wearing the pajamas? Or should I have said that backwards? Should I say, is it me that's wearing the pajamas, or is it the horse that's wearing pajamas? Obviously, immediately you're going to think that the human being is wearing pajamas, because you don't think that a horse would be wearing pajamas, because people would say that common sense will tell you that a horse doesn't wear pajamas, that a human most likely will be the one wearing pajamas. But just because common sense tells you that, or what everyone else would think, it doesn't mean that the sentence is absolute, because we still don't know who was wearing the pajamas. It just leaves room for discussion, for that you can be aware when you communicate with someone that you're being 100% clear about what you're saying, that you're not stuck in limbo, you're not talking about things with an unclear perspective, because it leaves room for subjectivity, it leaves room for discussion. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with subjectivity, because in subjective conversations you can gain objectivity from that. You can weed out the different things between objectivity and subjectivity. So that's a great way of, I guess, a good debate is another example of something that you can gain from. Doesn't always have, a debate is not always negative. There are healthy debates that we can do. We speak about that. But the word ambiguous, being unclear about something in a phrase or having a double meaning, it's a responsibility in communication. When it is your chance to speak, or when it is your chance to try and communicate with someone on a verbal, tone, or on the way that you do it, I've always said that communication is more of listening. It's receiving the information and digesting it and learning what to do with it. Sometimes you don't even have to respond. Sometimes there are no responses. But if you are going to respond, you want to respond in a prudent way. You want to have the opportunity to try and think as fast as you can in the most positive way, shape, or form. And before you answer, come up with something that is pleasant, the right tone, so that it doesn't come across in the wrong way and it doesn't leave for interpretation. Because people do interpret things in the wrong way. Tone of voice, the way people sound, it's hard. Sometimes you give the wrong emotion, sometimes you got the wrong tone of voice when you're communicating. So you got to understand that at least if what you're saying is clear, you're halfway there. Tone, perception, lens is all something different. But again, you have to be responsible with how you communicate with people. You have to be open-minded that people may not understand what you're saying. And you have to stop taking it for granted that they understand exactly what you're saying. Not everybody is the same, and you're not entitled to be understood regardless of how educated or how clear you are with the things that you say. So you have to be clear. If you're a person that understands facts, that wants to be factual, that wants to be in what is the truth, then you have to push for the facts. You have to learn the difference between facts and fiction. You have to learn the truth, behind things. You have to fact check. It's okay to go into the dictionary and look up a word. It is okay to not second guess someone, but just to double check the things that you hear. That way it doesn't sound like you're being condescending or rude. You take everything with a grain of salt, and if you're not 100% clear or believe what the other person is saying or the information that is coming across, you do yourself the favor and go look it up yourself. Make a mental note, or whenever you get a chance, get on your phone and write these things down. Little homework assignments, so that you can stay current and you can have a better conversation instead of making believe at the water cooler. We call that water cooler talk for those that are working 9 to 5. For those that go to work every day, that's the phrase that they use. The water cooler talk. But that being said, it's always a pleasure to express yourself. There's a study that I read about today. The Ivy League schools did a study on the words that you speak. That words are so powerful, they're so commanding, and they create movement. They did a study and they took the data on the emotional words, like in other words, the moods. They took the power of negativity and they took the power of positivity. So when you speak positive words, it's 4 times the strength of your thought. So a positive word is 4 times the strength of a thought. Who would ever think that they could measure something like that? But we are in the future right now. We are in 2021. So we shouldn't be surprised to see this, especially when there's just so many studies going on right now. They don't even know what to do anymore. But they studied the data on the strength of positive words, and it's a positive word is 4 times the strength of a thought. But they also did the study on negative words, and they found that negativity, when someone speaks negativity, when someone speaks in a negative tone, when they speak, or they complain, when they judge, when they criticize, when they put emphasis on talking about people, any type of negativity, that is 10 times the strength of the positive word. So if it's 10 times the strength of the positive word, and positive words is 4 times the strength of a thought, then a negative word is 40 times the strength of a negative thought. Let's break that down again. A negative thought compared to a negative word that you express, it's just unimaginable. You know what I'm saying? The difference. Now think about this. A positive thought and a negative thought is what they have not measured yet in comparison. So it's not a complete data. Well, at least I don't have the information. But what I found fascinating from jump, that's why I'm bringing this up right now, is that they can now measure. We talked about tangible and intangible measurements, how to measure something that's intangible. We speak about that in levels on the level chapter on Live Above the Norm. So it's there, right there in your face. If you want to go to the video right now, it's in this channel. We talk about how to place levels on things that may seem intangible, like feelings. There it goes again. Feelings, things that you may not be able to register, and how to put levels on it with a stronger anger versus a sadness, and how to keep it in the middle where you avoid being angry and you avoid being sad. So what's in the middle of sad and anger, which the highest level of anger would be rage, it's happiness, which is success in my eyes. Success is happiness, success is peace. That's what success is to me. That's what wealth and rich is. When you have peace, but you still have motivation, you still have energy, but you're at peace. And you're one with your thoughts. You're one with what your mind tells your body what to do, and you understand these things. And you process the moving parts of life. But getting back to the thought process, negativity is stronger than positivity. The negative words are stronger than positive words. They move you more. They move you in the wrong direction. And that's the worst thing too, because it takes a lot more positivity for it to be effective than it is negativity. So think about it. If something is positive and the other thing is negative, when it comes to expressing themselves in words, negativity overpowers positivity by a long shot. So we'll do the math one more time. If positive words are 4 times stronger than positive thoughts, and negative words are 10 times stronger than positive words, then negative words are 40 times stronger than positive thoughts. Think about that mathematical equation for you mathematical enthusiasts out there. For those that don't believe that mathematics is the real language of communication and understanding things, for all you problem solvers out there that don't understand how important math is and that math is everything, again, these are my perspectives. I do have facts that support these things. These are my beliefs as well. I've spoken about how we need to love ourselves and what it takes to do that by understanding and being in a realistic thought process where you understand that we live in a capitalistic world. You can say that our religion, and you can say that our culture, and you can say that our structure is capitalism. Because, and for the people that are in faith in the assembly, we're not talking about those that believe in God. I separate the church and I separate God. I think those are two different things. I look at church as a business, just like everything else. The relationship that you have with God is something different from being religious in a religion. I am religious about living your life like a business, because we live in a capitalistic society. We live under capitalism. So think about this. Are you Catholic? Are you Christian? Are you Baptist? Are you evangelist? Are you Pentecostal? Are you Jehovah's Witness? Are you Alleluia? Are you Greek Roman? No, I'm a capitalist. Oh, so you're one of those. I'm one of what? A person that understands that this is the type of life that we live in, because that's the structure of the government, right? The government tends to cater to the capitalists. This is a business-oriented society. And when people understand that, it'll be a better place to live. You know, like I said, they've done a masterful job at separating us in different categories in every genre imaginable. If it's not different classes of money, if it's not the color of your skin, if it's not your culture, if it's not your sexual preferences, if it's not your choice of representation in politics, if it's not gender, man, woman, man versus woman, black versus white, if it's not age, young versus old, and don't tell me that it's been like this for a long time, because it hasn't. It just has happened in more recent times, where the age discrepancy, not even in the nuclear family was it that bad when they separated it from the extended family, which was the whole entire family when the grandparents used to live home. The grandparents used to live home, they still ran the house. You had some in-laws even move in and create a lot of cousins and nephews. That was back in the day. Hasn't been like that in a while. But you got to understand that the respect that nobody has for one another is ridiculous. Sex came into the picture in the 80s, I think. Before it was a little bit taboo. I think at 8 o'clock was prime time, and they cursed a little bit. They would say very tiny words. Now they're saying a whole bunch of words like nothing ever happened, because everybody's arguing and suing everyone for freedom to do things, which the Constitution left a lot of open territory, right? That's you see, there you go. The Constitution was ambiguous, right? Could we say that?
No, it's not.
So the Constitution was ambiguous because it was unclear. It had a lot of double meanings, or maybe the double meanings or the meanings started coming into play as culture started developing and growing, right? And changing and evolving into what it is today, which a lot of the stuff that you find in the Constitution has reasons to review and for discussion, right? Because it's just not objective. It is subjective. There is room for error. There is room for discussion. So think about that. I think it's a better way of expressing that. When something is unclear, it's a higher level word. I think you will find this word in the SAT. It's ambiguous. It's more common than you think it is. I've heard it plenty of times, and I hate it not knowing what it was. But I hate it myself more for not looking it up. Hate is a strong word. I try not to use it. I use it on myself because I don't like the word. So if I use it, that means that I have to remove it, because that's exactly how I feel about myself. So I'm aware that has a grasp on me. So understand that. What else can we talk about today? Yeah, facts. We talked about assumptions. We talked about the different assumptions of going left and right. We can retouch that. Where on one side of the spectrum you have your expectations, which are again in the parentheses of assumptions. If you're looking at a table, and on the other side of the spectrum, you could look at it as the anxiety that is caused. There's different anxieties. I'm not a master of anxiety, but I do know that a lot of the anxieties, and I use my own experience, are caused by us with the what ifs and the possibilities. And going over things, doing a little bit too much, not creating a balance between doing too much and not enough. Again, that's something that you will find in the levels. Something that will teach you how to balance a little bit more. If you're not aware of things, you won't have a balance. Because if you're thinking one-dimensional, if you're thinking selfishly, then balance will never be there. Especially if you have a desire to have some type of social life. Now, if your social life is for you to control the social life and to dominate the social life, it's not really a social life. You're looking for people to follow you, to just want to be you or to admire you. That's a different type of relationship. It's not a give and take relationship. It's not an absorbing relationship. It's not something that you need to do. It takes a lot more energy. That's another thing too about negativity. It does the most destruction. It does the most movement, but in the wrong direction. It is more powerful than positivity because there's a destruction factor. Even if you're lifting weights, and this is something positive, and you want to grow, you have to pretty much destroy your muscle tissue, and you have to recover from that so that your muscles could be stronger and they can be bigger. Muscle grow physically and strength, which is displayed physically, but it's there whether you display it or not. It's growing, your strength, your endurance. All these things is how you need to understand what growth is. Getting back to capitalism now. We're always moving, and it seems like we're all over the place, but I always rewind things and I put it in perspective. Why wouldn't you live your life like a business? Would you continue to be so stubborn to understand that the only way to be successful is to be religious about your life itself? I'm not saying that you have to go to the gym 5 days a week, you have to eat right, and I'm not saying any of these things. What I'm saying is the more you do for yourself, the better it feels, the less chance of you dealing with situations later that might be physical. You don't want to be interrupted later down the road when you're doing well. There are successful people that are sick. There are successful people that are dying. There are successful people that will die. There are people that are watching this or will watch this that unfortunately they will pass away. Hopefully these videos will last forever and I'll be able to help people forever. Because the things that I'm trying to share with you are not things that will ever die. People will always need to look at things from a different perspective. Life will continue on and the youth will need direction. And these videos won't grow old unless you watch them all and we all grow together and I grow old. But when they watch these videos for the first time, they'll be watching this version right here. And hopefully, even if I just get to one person, even if I have one person listening and it makes a difference, I care. I care about you. But I want you to care about yourself. I want you to learn how to care about yourself. I want you to give the best version of yourself to other people. I want you to compete only with yourself. Only compete with the person you was yesterday and the person you was last week. That way you have facts on where to build from. Your foundation will come from facts. There is no discussion about what you've been through in your life, who you are, and what you do. But you got to keep it real with yourself. The further you have moved yourself from reality, the more toxins you have in your body, the more overweight that you are, the less reluctant you are to grow. If you don't have the motivation and you don't have the energy to do so, please listen to me. I lost a lot of weight and it took a lot to get to that point. But it also was frustration. It was also anger at myself. I lashed out at a lot of people and I took it out on people that didn't deserve it. Did a lot of mistakes in my life. And I started learning what it was to have empathy towards others without emphasizing empathy towards myself, because I didn't want to empathize towards myself. I didn't want to have self-pity. So then that turned into self-sabotage. I started feeling guilty and I started punishing myself on top of the punishment that I was already receiving from everyone else, their judgment, from their criticism. And it takes a certain person to have discipline to make this change, follow through on it, because you have to make this a lifestyle change. Can't be something that you're campaigning for, which is a temporary situation. You have to look at this as a lifestyle change. Give everything a chance. Not everything that I did is for everyone, but I will guarantee you that one or at least some of the things that I've done and I've learned since then can benefit you in some way, shape, or form, whether it's the diet, whether it's the routine, the exercise regimen, the mental aspects of it, of what it takes, the consistency level. How long would it take before you start seeing results? We can have those discussions. I was a very large person. I weighed 345 pounds at my max. And in 100 days, I went to 208 pounds. I think that's 137 pounds. There's people that are listening right now that's 137 pounds. There's people that are going to listen to this right now that are 137 pounds, if not 147, 157. That's not far. I lost a person. But that came from the frustration. That came from the anger. That came from me looking in the mirror and saying, wow, you really let yourself go. You got really comfortable. That happens when you're in a relationship too. You get really comfortable and you let go of the gas a little bit. You get comfortable. Try to find yourself after that is difficult because you created an interdependency. You got used to your situation, whatever that may be. It's not necessarily a relationship that you're in, but you've allowed that to play a significant role to the point where it affected your health. It did. It did. It's a contribution. But it's no one to blame but yourself because you're in something because you either want to be it or you're making excuses not to get yourself out. And we'll talk about that. We'll talk about getting out of situations that are not good and the red flags that we continue to ignore. We'll talk about that. Maybe we need to not call them red flags. Maybe we need to call them a different flag. Maybe we need to change that because of the expectations that we have. Maybe we shouldn't go looking for red flags because that's creating a bias. Think about that. Think about that. If you're dating someone new, and you're sitting there wondering when the red flags are coming, when you're creating a situation where they're already in defense mode and they don't even know that, it's unfair. That's a little ambiguous. Can you say that? It's unclear. Can we relate that?
Yeah.
You're giving them. They don't even know that you're giving them ambiguity. You're saying, like, is that crazy or what? They don't even know that. So think about this. Again, going back to being clear about what you want. You shouldn't be dating if you're lonely. Because if you're lonely, then that means that you're not enjoying or taking advantage of the time that you have to yourself. And let's not underestimate that by any means, because you could have taken care of what you need to take care of, right? And now you're lonely because you did put the work in, you did do some things, and you still don't have no one or have found someone. So yes, see how I can't be objective about that because there's room for discussion. Once it becomes a fact, we move it over to the objective side. You got to start creating a file cabinet in your head. And you have to put the cards where they belong. One side is facts. The other one is subjective. It doesn't mean that it's wrong. You just don't have all the facts yet. The goal is to move your subjective information into the objective table by filling in the blanks, by adding the facts that belong to these things. These are choices that we make in life. I'm speaking in simplest terms because this is exactly what these things are. We make things bigger than what they are. We put a lot of emphasis on. We always speak about not allowing your feelings to be a part of the majority of the decisions that you make. Some people make major decisions with their feelings. It's going to be a very expensive decision. Chances are that if you make decisions with your feelings, that they are going to come back and be expensive. Now, let's take the word expensive. The common person would say that it costs too much money. That's what the word expensive means. But expensive could mean something that you can't afford. And your spirit can't afford certain things, like negativity. When I just told you how stronger negativity is, right? Negativity is, spoken negative words are 40 times stronger than positive thoughts. Think about that math. Negativity has been, they have evaluated the data. I read this. And it's incredible. So think about it. The only way to defeat negativity is by constant motivation. You know, like negativity is like, all right, let's put negativity and positivity in a boxing match. I think negativity could be considered a heavy hitter, so maybe it's a heavyweight, right? Maybe it's not one of the lighter guys, even though lighter guys hit hard too. But a little guy's not going to knock out a heavyweight. Think about it. Negativity is the heavyweight, and positivity is the middleweight, super middleweight, right? A little bigger. Super middleweight versus heavyweight. How does a super middleweight beat a heavyweight? Get them tired. But that means that you have to test your endurance as well. You have to attack and not be hit, because it's not going to take much to hurt you. Think about that. You can't pity pat. You can't throw punches, here and there. You're not doing anything. You might throw a jab here and there to set up another punch and maybe catch him with something that he can't see. Eventually, how do you chop a tree down from the bottom, right? That's in boxing. Yes, a little guy can beat a big guy, but it's not going to come from one punch. You understand what I'm saying? It's just not that. It can, but the odds are against you. So think about this. You have the odds against you. You're positive. You're throwing punches, good punches, combinations. You're doing a lot of movement. You ain't trying to get hit. The bigger guy is a little bit more bold. The negative guy is a little bit more bold. It leaves himself more open, right? The positivity is it's doing everything it can. It's thinking of defense, not getting hit. How do I get in, do what I got to do, and get out of there before I get wrecked? Negativity is just being thrown out there at all costs. You have to deal with it. Everybody that's tuned in, how you doing? I appreciate you. I see you, Amado. I see you, Demo. How you doing? I love you guys, man. I appreciate. We're going to keep it going here. We might stop broadcasting at, I believe, 7 o'clock, because we got somebody else coming on to the other things. But I want you to tap in. I want you to see the videos that I have. I believe that they're interesting. It's just everyday conversation that I've had with other people, the things I talk about. You might have heard them before, but I have extended from those thoughts. I have added more facts. I have moved a lot of subjective things into the objective file cabinet. Even grammar. I understand what I'm trying to tell you here. In a religious way, if you can, I'm going to make a small little comparison, not to get too crazy. If you want to say who has more strength, the devil or God, that's a matter of perspective. But you got to look at it this way. If you believe in God and you have total faith in God, you're leaving it up to God to do everything for you. I don't think that's the way things work. I believe that you have to understand that He's already given you tools. He's already given you things. You have a brain, right? You can think, right? You can reason. He's giving you a lot of tools. You're not using them? That's cool. A lot of people have enough to succeed and survive, but they want more, and they make excuses because they feel they don't have enough, right? Now let's take the devil. The devil's going to bust his butt. He's going to do so many things, right? He's going to use deception. He's going to use lies. He's going to use you against yourself. He's going to use your weaknesses against you. He's going to use temptation. if they say that God only gives you what you can handle, so you already have what you need, right? What is our job then? You want to sit here and think about what our purpose is in life, or you want to start functioning, or you want to start doing things that actually progress? You want to put yourself in the position to grow. Either way, think about it. Are you waiting for the devil to do something, or are you waiting for God to do something, if we're talking in religious terms? Think about that. Are we waiting? Are we, even though, think about this, it's still waiting regardless of who you're waiting for. Because I'll give you an example. You know how someone, let's say you're having a good time. And the good times that you're having actually start accumulating. Right? You go a day, you have a good day, right? You have 2 good days. Man, I'm having a good week, right? It might even go 2 weeks. There are some people that will look at that and say, I'm waiting for something to go wrong. You're waiting for the devil to come and mess it up. Let's talk religion, right? Because if you're thinking that this is God's doing and God's with you, no, you're pushing for the 3rd week, right? You're pushing for the 15th day, which is the 14th day, the day after the 14th day in a 2-week span, right? Let's keep it real here. Let's do things the way things were meant to be done. Let's keep a clear perspective. Let's remove the subjectivity and the ambiguous thoughts, right, in our mind. Let's be clear about what we want and how we're going to get there. You're going to sit there and say, I know there's more to life. Okay, so if you know there's more to life and you're not feeling it when you say that, then obviously it's somewhere else and you have to go get it. We talk about praying to God. But we pray to God only when we need Him. Do we pray to God just to say thank you for no reason at all? Thank you for giving me another opportunity to get up and try to do things correctly? Are you not waking up in an appreciative form? Think about that, right? Think about that. When you wake up, who are you? Are you already upset? Or are you like, yes, I got up. There are some people that hear that and they say, I hate people like that. I hate people that are always jolly and happy. Those people are not always jolly and happy, but they're pushing to go that direction. It could be a persona. It could be practicing the life to get there. You know, living the role. Fake it before you make it. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't want to bring negative energy. I just finished saying that when you speak negative energy, it is, I guess, 6 times stronger because it's 10 to the 4. It's 6 times stronger than positivity. Are you kidding me? So imagine someone that's going on and on and on and they're in your life and they're being extremely negative. Imagine living in a situation where, what if you're the negative person? So then now, you are the negative person. You're living with a negative person that's inside of you. That could create a lot of hatred. That could create a lot of bad feelings. That could create a lot of self-hate, but you're not going to take it out on yourself because the persona that you want to display is of perfection. You want to play a role, but you don't want to live the life. That's deception. That's not being honest. That's not living above the norm. What do we say about lying? What are the 3 major dishonesties? Lying, cheating, and stealing. What do we say about lying? That it's easier to say the truth and easier to continue to say the truth because the story doesn't change. Once you start changing the story, you have to keep continuing to change the story because you don't remember the last story that you said. Take it from a person that's been there. I'm not mocking anyone. I had a problem with honesty. I had a problem. Sometimes I feel like lying in certain situations, and I catch myself, and I say, there's no need to lie. It's going to come back to bite you like it always does. I can't begin to talk about living an honest life without being honest. And not just lying, deception, omission, not telling the complete story. Failure to state all the facts because some of those facts might implicate you in a situation. That's not keeping it real. Think about that. Think about that. So you got to understand that, yeah, a lot goes into it, and this is why people don't even go that direction. People say, you know what, I have too much to change. I just have too many problems. We'll start next Tuesday. We'll start next month. Next year, I'm gonna, a year from now, you tell yourself and you tell people that a year from now things are gonna be different, and you make whatever small adjustments you can to make yourself believe that you've made a grand change when you haven't. Life is short. Life is short. Years go by. Holidays go by. Look, Halloween is next week. That means Thanksgiving is right around the corner. And what does that mean? Christmas is right there. So what happened? Now we're going into the year 2022, right? Are you now going to try to catch up with everything that you haven't done this year? Can you yourself look in the mirror and say that you follow your New Year's resolutions, if that's what you're into? Did you write a plan? Did you have a plan? Do you have something to follow? Do you have a game plan? Do you have a strategy? No, because negative expressions and negative words are 40 times stronger than positive thoughts. So if you are still in thought mode, if you're still in thinking mode, you're going to get crushed. You don't have a chance. If it's difficult fighting with negative words, with positive words, do you think you have a chance with positive thoughts? Think about that. The only way to put something into action is to speak it into action. If you're into affirmations and you're into manifestations, you could speak things into existence. But if you're speaking, think about how many times you have to say something in order for it to work, because you already have the thought in your head and you don't even understand what's going on here. Think about this. If the strength of negative words is that strong, then you start speaking positive thoughts really quickly. All it takes is a couple of negative things to think about this. Think about this. Here's an example. You say something positive, the other person says something negative. You try to say something positive again, they'll say something worse, right? Because that's the strength of the negativity is breaking down the positive. All of a sudden, guess what? You're not positive anymore, right? Now you want to argue. Now you want to fight. Now you're like, you know what? That was uncalled for. You should have never did that, right? The extra that people say, right? When they're not really expressing themselves the right way, they're not really telling you what the problem is. It's 6:56. We got a few minutes. This show was a little bit short because we started out the first 12 minutes. I didn't know that the microphone wasn't connected. A couple of technical problems. Grow with me. This is hilarious to me. It feels great to make mistakes, to allow myself to be human, to learn how to be human and make mistakes, to apologize for the things that you've done wrong. And if they don't accept your apology, that's okay. You apologize. You're 100% authentic about your apology, and you move on. You can't stay stuck trying to prove something to someone that doesn't want something to be proven to them because they're in a negative role. Negativity is stronger than positivity. That's why you have to work harder in a positive connotation. It takes more punches from the motivative point of view. Negativity is a heavyweight, and negativity comes bang. You know why? Because negativity doesn't stop. It's competitive. It is there to destroy you. couple of shows ago when we were on Mixcloud, the owner of the LMC radio station said, they keep testing my intelligence, and I'll come back to this. I'll keep coming back to this and redirecting this in so many different ways. The only way that they can test your intelligence is with intelligence, because they try to take you out of your intelligence by bringing emotions into it. Negativity destroys positivity. But think about this. What if there's only one or two negative people and there's 20 positive people? Who wins that battle? Negativity don't have a chance. You know what I'm saying? Why? Because now you got little punches being thrown out from different directions. You have people there that are controlling and watching it for what it is. They're now allowing you to be a narcissist and control the situation or control what's happening. So you end up frustrating and you have to quit, and negativity breaks down. And let me tell you that negativity, when it breaks down, there's nothing more deflating in this world. I felt it. I felt it when I was wrong about things. And you know how sometimes you feel like you was right about something, and then when it finally dawns on you, like, wow. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was totally not looking at this the right way. Why? Because you was being one-dimensional. You wasn't being open-minded. That's not living above the norm. That's not loving yourself. Another little quick tidbit about loving yourself. It's okay to be selfish when the time comes to be selfish. When it's time to share, it's time to share. And these are channels, and you have to learn how to switch these channels. It's like kind of switching hats, switching roles. That's where balance comes from. If you have this side, then you have this side. And in an algebraic expression, when you do something to one side, you have to do it to the other side in order for it to balance. That's the way the world works. Balance has to have two sides, because if you only have one, it's not in the balance. It's already there. It's already there. I want to love you guys today. I want to love you guys tomorrow. I want to love you guys 10 days from now. I want to love you guys for the rest of our short lives. And I want to tell you that I'm here for you in every way, shape, or form. I appreciate everyone that's here. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed to the channel. Share this with other people, because now it's recorded and on video. From the creators of Hormiga Enterprises and LMC, where loyalty means everything. This is the PS I Love Me show, and PS stands for problem solving, with your host, the most grateful and the most loving and caring person in the entire world, well, my world at least, Hormiga. Have a great night. I appreciate you all. Peace, love, tranquility, and success is happiness. Everyone have a great night and take care.